Welcome to the Laborers Training School, alongside ARCSA, the American Rainwater Catchment Systems Association, presenting an introduction to entering a permit-required confined space. OSHA defines a confined space as any area that has adequate size and shape to allow a person to enter, has limited openings for entry or exit, and is not designed for continuous human occupancy. Working in a confined space can be extremely dangerous. By following the correct procedures, you can reduce the risk of injury or death due to atmospheric or physical hazards. One of the most important procedures is always working with an entry team. This consists of at least 3 people: the entry supervisor, the entry worker, and the rescue attendant. This will ensure the safest possible work environment with an awareness of the hazards and the ability to retrieve an endangered or injured entrant from the confined space. The entry supervisor is responsible for overseeing all aspects of the entry, especially the completion and enforcement of the permit. This includes many responsibilities, from planning and determining if acceptable conditions are present for entry, to overseeing the operations and terminating entry as required. The authorized entrants are the workers who must enter the space to perform a job assignment both safely and properly. Along with wearing proper PPE, the authorized entrant should be knowledgeable of the equipment and hazards inside of the confined space, so any changes or warning signs can be communicated. The authorized attendant is the worker who remains outside the confined space while work is being done inside the space. The primary responsibility of the attendant is to make sure the entrant remains safe. This person does not break communication with the entrant while they are in the confined space. Before you can enter a confined space, you must complete the pre-entry requirements that include filling out an entry permit, holding a pre-entry meeting, setting up your equipment, and putting on the correct PPE for the job. Once complete, the entry supervisor will authorize entry. The main source of information for potential hazards, as well as the duties of the entrants and attendants, is the entry permit. This permit guides the entry team through a systematic evaluation of the confined space. During the pre-entry meeting, the supervisor will identify the work and workers, hazards of the space, and any additional information before authorizing entrance into the confined space. Once authorized, the equipment for the job can be set up. The range of equipment will change depending on the environment, which will be determined by the entry supervisor. This will include rescue equipment, ventilation, and any other safety equipment needed for the job. The entrant will put on appropriate PPE for the job. This generally includes a harness, goggles, a respirator, a personal direct reading instrument, or DRI, and any other equipment that is identified on the entry permit. In a confined space, there are different hazards than you would normally see on a construction site, so it is important to have on proper PPE, but also be aware of the many hazards inside. Hazardous atmospheres can be one of the biggest threats to worker health and safety. Before anyone can enter a confined space, you must use a DRI, or direct reading instrument, to test for oxygen content, flammability or explosivity, as well as toxicity. Pre-entry testing is performed from the outside of the confined space using the probe to check all 3 atmospheric tests. If this test passes, you will check 3 levels of the confined space: the top, the middle, and the bottom. Once a safe atmosphere is confirmed, the supervisor will authorize entry into the confined space. However, the atmosphere shall periodically be tested, and monitoring should remain continuous. Once you have completed all these steps, from the pre-entry meeting and testing to setting up proper equipment and wearing proper PPE, you are now ready to enter a confined space safely. Remember, there is no replacement for training and experience. Your health and safety depend on it. Thank you for choosing Laborers Training School in Lyuna. Feel the power.